You outsmarted your enemies once again. Yes, sir. Let me say it louder. For my chosen ones in the back. Listen, family, you outsmarted your enemies once again. I need somebody to drop in the comments and say, intelligent dominance. Yes, sir. Make sure you drop in the comments, family, and say intelligent dominance. Now, my paraphrase definition of intelligent dominance would be the person who is superior intellectually, education wise, or anything that utilizes the mind. All right. Problem solving, analyzing, utilizing strategy, rationalizing, all those different things, y'all. It goes inside the same boat of intelligent dominance. All right. Because everybody is not utilizing their mind to get out of a situation. When most people become frustrated or when most people get, fed up, they start turning to aggression, not you. You use your mind to get you out your situation. And so your enemies have been outsmarted by you again. You know why? Because you've researched them. You've studied them. Not only this, but you've also utilized some of their own moves against them. And what they keep failing to realize is that you can't be a checker player going against a chess player. A checker player is only going to think one, at max, two moves ahead. A chess player is thinking 5 to 10 moves ahead. For some people, even more. The point is, y'all, is that your enemies are beginning to get frustrated, but they're also trying to smarten up because they're trying to figure out how are you able to keep defeating them repetitively. You follow what I'm saying? And so, fam, we're going to speak about within this video how you know you've outsmarted your enemies once again. And they sick of it, y'all. But we're going to talk about it within this video. First thing is first, y'all leave a thumbs up on this video as well as subscribe to the channel. Y'all be sure to ring my bell so you can be notified after every single video I post. What's going on, fam? How y'all doing? I know it's a later video tonight, y'all, but it's been a pretty busy day for me. However, y'all, we still got to get this content in. For me, y'all, I'm good. Today was a decent day, but I always take the good with the bad, as I said on my other channel. And what I had for dinner today was Panda Express. I was a little lazy, y'all. I know it's Monday, but I was a little lazy, so I ended up having the bigger plate, teriyaki chicken, pepper steak, and some orange chicken with fried rice. That was my dinner, y'all. Y'all drop in the comments. Let me know what y'all ate. All right. Let me know what y'all had for dinner. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. All right. But anyway, y'all, let's get directly into this banger, y'all. Number one, they're coming to you for advice. This is how you know that you've outsmarted your enemies. Once again, they're coming to you for advice. Now, this is because a person have to place their pride and their ego aside to survive. Okay. Once again, when a person have to place their pride and ego aside, it's because they have no choice but to survive. Whether they are trying to survive in the workplace, they're trying to survive in jail, they're trying to survive at the family reunion, they're trying to survive at the gym, around this new network of people, they have to survive, all right? Which means they need to know the in and outs. You follow what I'm saying? And this is not always a life and death situation, although it could be, but sometimes, y'all, it's just about knowing the do's and don'ts in a certain environment. You follow what I'm saying? Now, it was a movie, y'all, by the name of Sin Help. Just came out 2026, I believe. Really good movie, all right? But to give it to you in a nutshell, the guy who the woman is based on two people, but the guy who the woman was in charge of, or who he was the boss of because she was working underneath him, the roles reversed. So he was King Kong inside that office. But when they got into that plane crash and they was on that desert island, he had to depend on her. But in the beginning, he was extremely reluctant. He didn't want to do it because he was so used to being in charge. All right. And so at first he was being prideful. He had his ego. And so she took her stuff and she moved on because she had read books about it. She knew how to survive in the desert or survive on these desert islands, right? So long story short, he had to humble himself, if he wanted to survive. So guess what? He started going to her for advice. Yeah, I know you will. If you want to live, buddy, if you want to get some help, if you want to be able to survive on this island. You get what I'm saying? Now, the moral of the movie go a little deeper, but my point within this movie right now is when a person have yet to humble themselves, that's because they still think they can do it without you. They still think that they're smarter than you. But when you see them humble themselves, place their pride aside, place their ego aside, that's because they're getting smarter. They keep realizing that, or they finally realize that, hold on, this person keep outsmarting me. Let me get some advice from them. All right. If somebody just came to your doorstep, came to your workstation, called your phone, whatever the case is, reached out to you, all right, and asked you for advice, and you know that they're typically reluctant to asking you for advice because they're prideful or they have ego or whatever the case is, this is how you know that you've outsmarted them and they're trying to survive. Does that make sense, y'all? Drop in the comments to let me know, all right? They're coming to you for advice. Number two, it's going with this right here, fam. They're getting sloppy, all right? They're getting sloppy. So when you are outsmarting your enemies time after time after time, you're going to notice that they're beginning to get sloppy. Not because they're incapable, not because they can't do it, not because of any other reason outside of them becoming frustrated, pissed off, mad. They're getting sloppy, okay? This is like the person who's fighting out of anger versus the person who's fighting out of strategy. Let me say that once again, y'all. This is the equivalent of the person who's fighting out of anger, right? That's all he doing, right? Versus the person who's fighting out of strategy, okay? They're able to pay attention. They're measuring you. They got their distance. They're in position, okay? They're moving the right way. They got head movement. Maybe they're bobbing and weaving, but it's all strategy. It's not out of anger. You dig what I'm saying? And that's the same thing with this right here, y'all. When people get angry or when people become frustrated, they start getting sloppy. They stop caring. They stop moving in strategy. They stop moving within the system. The point is, y'all, is that this is how you know you have outsmarted your enemies once again, y'all. All right? Once again. Number three, it's going to be this right here, fam. Their manipulative tactics stop working, okay? Their manipulative tactics stop working. Maybe they used to use a facial expression on you. Maybe they used to talk to you in a certain tone. Maybe they used to hit you with the puppy dog eyes. Like whatever it was, y'all, it was manipulative tactics. But now they have stopped working. You follow what I'm saying? And they notice this. When you outsmart them, it's because now you know how to combat whatever they were fighting you with. See, fighting is not just, hands, fists, guns, and poles, and whatever it is, whatever weapon you have. Sometimes you can have an emotional weapon. You can have emotional tools that allow you to pull on the emotional strings of other individuals. That's a manipulative tactic. And when you outsmart them, this means that you finally learn how to combat whatever it is that they do that gets you in your feelings. A lot of times, y'all, family know the tools to use to put you in your feelings. Close ones know the tools to use to put you in your feelings. When you outsmart them, this means that their manipulative tactics have been stopped by the things that you have developed, the tools that you're beginning to use, and the things and systems you set in place so it does not work again, all right? No, you can't stay. You got to follow the rules and regulations. No, you can't call me at this time of the night. You got to follow my boundaries. No, you can't do X, Y, and Z. You're not allowing them to utilize those manipulative tactics that pull on your emotional strings, all right? And the list goes on. But number 4, it's going to be this right here, fam. You dictate the narrative, all right? You now dictate the narrative. You have a person who's independent. Maybe they make, $100,000 a year. Maybe. I'm just going to say, a number. Maybe $100,000 a year. Even if it's $75,000 a year, right? At this point, it's not about the money. It's about the freedom. But let's just say you have a person who makes $5 million a year, but they're signed to a label, and the label own everything. They got their masters. They got their publishing. They got everything, right? Would you rather be controlled and you have to basically sell your soul and do whatever it is that these wicked executives are telling you to do, or rather you be the person who's making $75,000 to $100,000 a year, but you control the narrative. You dictate what you're gonna do. You dictate the story that's being told on your behalf. Nobody is gonna have you going out with a terrible legacy or doing whatever it is that they want to do because it's gonna make them money and mess up your brand and image. Which would you choose? You follow what I'm saying? Somebody drop in the comments and say, I choose to control myself. When you allow people to see that you're going to dictate your own narrative, this is when they start cutting themselves out of your movie, cutting themselves out of your story. You follow what I'm saying? Because initially they were looking to benefit and benefit a lot more than you were. You get what I'm saying? But when you dictate the narrative, y'all, this is a clear indication that you have outsmarted your enemies once again. Once again, y'all. Number 5, the last thing is gonna be this right here, y'all. They're looking for edge and leverage. All right. They are looking for edge and leverage. We know what edge and leverage is, y'all. This is when people have negotiable or negotiation points. All right. When you have leverage, you can utilize that as negotiation points, period. All right. If you are a hot artist, okay, you got your over 100,000 followers. These days, you almost need 1 million followers. But you got 1 million followers, 100,000 followers, whatever. You're making your own money independently. You got your own tours. You got a hot song out. You are a hot artist. You have what we call leverage. All right. So when you start talking to these record labels, you can negotiate with what? Your leverage. Okay. Somebody drop in the comments and say leverage is key. When you have leverage, you're able to negotiate big time. You are able to negotiate big time. But when you don't have leverage, you got 10,000 followers. You ain't really making no money like that. Yeah, you got the star look, but they got to put you out there as a star. You know, you don't have the connections to radio play. They pretty much got to put the machine behind you. They like, look, we can blow you up, but what do we get out of it? Right? Number one, we're going to have to own all your publishing, your masters, and everything else. But why do we even want to take it to that level when we have all the leverage? In fact, we don't even want to talk to you because you don't have any edge or leverage. Y'all get what I'm saying? When people begin to look for edge and leverage, that means that they have already been outsmarted because they're looking for tactics to win. They're looking for things that's going to make their negotiation more possible for it to be in their favor. Okay, when you're already winning, you're not looking for things that will help you win again. You're already winning, right? And I say this all the time, y'all, but you know, winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. This is one of those cases. You get what I'm saying? They're looking for edge and leverage when it comes to you, because you keep coming out on top. You follow me? But with that being said, y'all, we're going to do a recap and then we'll get up out of here. But number one, y'all, they're coming to you for advice. All right. Number 2, they're getting sloppy. All right. Number 3, their manipulative tactics stop working. Number 4, you dictate the narrative, which is one of the smartest things you can do. And number 5, y'all, they're looking for edge and leverage. They need something. They're trying to nitpick. They're trying to find the edge and leverage. But you have all the edge and leverage. And so it's a lost cause for them. But anyway, y'all be sure to get you a Yes Sir t-shirt, Yes Sir hoodie, book a one-on-one session with your boy, and you can check out any one of my books. Keep a rich mentality. Peace.